If you want all of your data in one place, you need the Intuit ERP. I'm Damon John, and I run my growing business on Intuit Enterprise Suite. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
And now, a special edition of the Toddcast podcast.
Powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Oh, Canada. You only have to go back to 1867 to trace to our Confederation. So as a country, we're only 156 years old as of this year, July 1st, 2023. Young in relative terms. Imagine living in Canada in the late 1800s and what your life must have been like. At that time, lots of challenges and lots of opportunities. Winters were harsh, like now, limited resources. As a country, we persevered, relying on three main things: our agriculture, mining, and timber. Construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway connected the country. You saw diverse cultures help shape our multicultural society. Women started to pave the way to equality. We've come a long way. 10 provinces, 3 territories, 9.98 million square kilometers. The second largest country on Earth by total area, 4th largest by land area. Massive. One of the best countries to live in, consistently near the top for quality of life, of course. Surveys where they look at stuff like human rights and the environment, gender equality, religious freedom. Of course, there are areas where we need improvement. The glaring one, of course, is affordability. Cities like Vancouver, where we're based, Toronto, out of control. Housing prices, rent, it's so expensive to live in Canada. Quality of life in Indigenous communities, access to healthcare, education, economic opportunities. The gap between our rich and the poor is widening. Many people facing financial challenges, while others like Lululemon co-founder Chip Wilson and his $26 million on an acre and a half, 2-story house right near UBC. It's incredible. 8 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, because you need them when you're throwing your $100,000 parties, right? It's overlooking Burrard Inlet. Yeah, you could say there are a few things that could make Canada a better place to live, but honestly, not complaining. It's expensive AF to live in Vancouver. And yeah, I get it. It's a beautiful city, and you have to pay for that. You're beautiful, Canada. Your people as well, all of them. Hey, it's Todd Hancock. Happy Canada Day, and I hope you get to spend it with your friends, with your family. This week, you'll hear from 12 talented Canadians like WWE legend Bret the Hitman Hart, retired Canucks goaltender Captain Kirk McLean, Sons of Anarchy actor Kim Coates, astronaut commander Chris Hadfield, and this week's Canadian musical guests. After I let you know about this week's, stop me if you've heard this before. That's coming up in just a little bit. Retired CFL offensive lineman for the BC Lions, Angus Reid, talking about the decision to hang him up. That is powered by our good friends at FKP MMA. Learn self-defense, build your self-esteem, meet like-minded new friends. My little guy Levi, not little, but he's getting up there, 10. He goes a couple times a week now for the last year and a half, I guess. He's getting up there and absolutely loves going. Find out why. Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com. First, let's get to those highlights from visits from Canadian musicians. So Arkell singer Max Kerman has been on a couple times, and the last time we talked about how his band approaches songwriting.
Well, it's always, I think I'm always thinking about it. So I have like a notepad on my phone that, like, whenever I hear anything sort of interesting, or if I hear it or I read something, I'll just jot it down. And I'm on the phone, and let me pull up the last thing I wrote. And here's the thing. 95% of the ideas end up being totally unused and, for the most part, pretty bad ideas. Right. But you write them down because it strikes you in the moment.
Yeah, there's no bad ideas.
Yeah, so the last thing, but it's funny, as I look through the notes here, there's a bunch of notes that made the last record. So like 1111, that was a note I put down.
I thought that was a pretty cool inside glimpse as to how Arkell's, or I guess Max, puts together songs for the band. He also talked about whether they would ever stop making albums and just release singles?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to exactly predict what sort of the culture is going to look like in 5 or 10 years. So it's, anything's possible, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that for our sort of business, it's largely based on going out and touring. So it's like the record itself is sort of almost like a promotional tool, but to get people out to the shows so they can hear these new songs.
Right.
And we might get to a point where we have enough songs that people are just going to come out anyway, which is also kind of cool. But for us, it's like I think there's excitement in like this is not the same show. If you want to make a different show from the last time you came through town, it's pretty important that you have like a batch of new songs, right? So then that would probably mean you have a new record. So I think for our sake, it's a little different maybe in the pop world, but for I think rock and roll fans, it's like having new material to dig into is pretty important part of the touring life cycle as well.
I don't know, me personally, and not that it's all about me, but I would love to see the LP just continue to live on. Like that's the whole point of the album. The reason why they put each song where it was and the liner notes and all that stuff. Like we can't lose that in music. When I think back to being a little kid, I think back to those memories of like pulling out the records out of my mom's hassock, cuddling up with a blanket and a chocolate milk kind of thing, and like reading the liner notes and like who wrote the song and what are they singing about and all that. So hopefully that never changes. As we switch gears now to Chantal Kreviazuk's visit, you've heard her music since the mid-90s, hit singles, world tours, to this day, one of the best-selling Canadian artists in Canada. Here, Chantal talks about the music that she grew up around.
It was Barbra Streisand, it was Elvis Presley, it was John Lennon, Yoko Ono. It was religious, sort of more evangelical Christian music. It was everything. It's just absolutely everything. And then when my brothers, who are older than me, and my cousins, who were older than me, they were like my sisters, got at me, it was like all this amazing, rock and roll music. Mm-hmm. From Zeppelin to Judas Priest, to like. And then I got into my Floyd and my everything. Just, it was amazing.
Right. Like it's fun hearing about the music that famous Canadian musicians and artists grew up around and what the music their parents were playing as they were little kids growing up and stuff. I think it's fun. And Chantal told the story of how she met her husband, Our Lady Peace singer, Rain Maida.
We met at the Pearl Jam concert on September 21st, 1996. In Toronto at Maple Leaf Gardens. Okay,
and what was it like the first time you collaborated together? Do you remember that? The first time, what was that like? What was that for?
Romantically, you mean? Or
no.
The first time we collaborated, I don't even remember. I mean, we did a couple fun things years back, little sort of one-offy things here and there. We made a movie song, a song for a film.
And stories like that, for me, that's one of the reasons why I'm able to continue to keep doing what I'm doing here with this podcast is it's getting stories like that from people and, just personalizing, whether it's a musician or sports athlete or a famous actor in Hollywood. They're all just regular people like you and I. So I've known Dallas Smith since the early 2000s. This is back to the Default days, if you remember that band. Hell, I've been in a limo with him and Chad from Nickelback. And Dallas, I mean, we're lit up from the night's festivities, and he's singing "Wasting My Time" a cappella in the back of the limo. And to watch his rise from that band to become a prominent Canadian country music artist, and it's pretty amazing. He's a solid guy, obviously super versatile. He's uber talented. I think Dallas was a guest in late 15 or early 16. So the transition from rock to country was fairly new at that time.
For me, there's been a couple things. It's my project now. So me taking on the workload of what we had with 4 people with the band, I'm now having to do that. And being in this business long enough, I realize how important keeping your hands on the business part of it is. So the workload's a lot heavier. And then the live show too. I look back on what I did with the band, and I think I allowed myself to be be shy, and I didn't push myself very hard. I just took I was in the band, so there's 4 of us, so I didn't really, it was not my name up on the backdrop, it's the band. So with this stuff, I really wanted to make sure that I was more entertaining as a singer and an artist. So those have been the 2 challenges that I've had.
And it's funny to think back, right? Like you've got hindsight now. And yeah, dude, Dallas, you absolutely clobbered your challenges. So check out Dallas telling the story of meeting one of his heroes, one of the best, Bob Seger.
I was selected to be his opening act in Western Canada Arena Tour early last year. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. He's a very quiet guy. He does his own thing, but I was lucky enough to be in catering there when he rolled in, and we sat down and had dinner together, and we talked about everything except for music. We talked about Vancouver, and we talked about sort of family life and a little bit of music, just in the touring stuff, but some. Very,
Boy, what a
very.
Voice.
Oh my God!
Like, what a voice!
And he still has it. I mean, everything's down a couple keys, but just the charisma and the voice and the songs, but he was he was very humble and just a very nice guy. I was really blown away by that. And I've met guys that are, have 1% of that success. They're just idiots about it. But to see a guy like that who has done everything and anything, it's faith in humanity. You know what I mean? It's great to see that in people.
Like totally, right?
It's good.
Geez, I guess right around the time that Bob Seger was making an impact in music, growing up in Canada in the 80s into the 90s, the band Loverboy was doing the same thing. They were everywhere. They formed in 79 from Calgary. Huge songs, of course, Working for the Weekend, Turn Me Loose, and Hot Girls in Love. Big arena tours, 4 multi-platinum albums, millions sold. And when their singer Mike Reno was a guest, it was right around the time that Trump was campaigning to become U.S.'s president. And I asked Mike if he thought that Trump would make a good president.
Well, to be honest with you, he has to give it a good try at least, because, what's the option? He's got the whole world watching him. He has an opportunity to do something great or be a buffoon. Mm-hmm. You either go one way or the other. Yeah. Because in all honesty, I thought Obama did a pretty damn good job with what he had been handed to him. But what a tough job it was when you don't have a majority government. And as we all know, when majority governments aren't happening, you don't get anything done. So Trump has been handed a majority government, and he's like this off-the-wall guy, man. I mean, you never know. He could either do a fantastic job that we'll be kind of talking about forever, or it's just going to kind of go away because he'll have to, start planning what he's going to do with the next 4 years, whether he gets in or not. But, I think he has an opportunity to do something great. I just hope he does.
Of course, now we're well aware of what Trump brought to the table, having a one-term presidency, Sleepy Joe now at the wheel. But yeah, Loverboy was just part of life in Canada, right? All over the radio, all over your TV, Good Rockin' Tonight, MTV, Friday night videos. They were as much of a household name in the 80s and 90s as Wayne Gretzky, John Candy, you name it. Listen to Mike talk about career highlights and tell his story.
I think the career highlight must have been something I'll never forget is, I think once we finished the first album, some of the guys, I remember it was our drummer Matthew and Paul, our guitarist, and myself, we grabbed the girlfriends and did one of those all-in excursion trips to Puerto Vallarta. Mm-hmm. Scraped together like $900 each to get down there. This is in the early days when we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, so it was a big accomplishment for us. And we got down there. I think Matty went over to Yulapa on a boat with his girl, and Paul and I stayed in the hotel on the beach with our girls, and it was just pretty cool until about 3 days later when somebody came down to the beach and got me. This is, now believe it or not, this is the time before cell phones. I know. There was a time before cell phones. Mm-hmm. And they didn't really even have phones in the rooms unless you went through the operator, and it was kind of one of those kind of eras. Down in Mexico, things were always a bit slower. And so he came, somebody from the front desk came and got me. There was I thought, I don't know what's going on, but I went up and the phone was Bruce Allen. He says, Mike, Bruce, I want you to get the guys together and get your butts back to Los Angeles. Dick Clark thinks you're his next favorite band. He loves you guys. He wants you on the show. And my life kind of changed right then. In my mind, I went, are you kidding me? Because I don't know if everybody remembers Dick Clark, but he was the biggest Dick Clark was a huge enterprise. He started off in
and
Philadelphia
everything,
with his music show, American Bandstand.
Yeah.
But if he dug you, everybody would go and buy the record, like the next day or the same day. And if you made it on the show, you were a huge success. And in my mind, I had said to myself, this is huge. And to be honest with you, that's probably one of the biggest things that, happened. He decided that we were really snappy. You could dance to it. They looked pretty good. These guys are happening. He didn't even, and he kind of mentioned these guys are even from Canada. And he made a big deal of it. How do you come from Canada and sound like this?
Yeah.
And he was all excited about it. So that was a really big deal for us.
The Toddcast Podcast.
Starting or growing your own business can be intimidating and lonely at times. Your to-do list may feel endless with new tasks, and lists can easily begin to overrun your life. So finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything as a built-in business partner can be a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Gymshark, Rare Beauty, and Heinz, to brands just getting started. Shopify has hundreds of ready-to-use templates that can help you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand's style. And you can tackle all the important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. No need to save multiple websites or try to figure out what platform is hosting the tool that you need. And if people haven't heard about your brand, you can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you, with easy-to-run email and social media campaigns to reach customers wherever they're scrolling or strolling. Start your business today with the industry's best business partner, Shopify, and start hearing. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. That's shopify.com/realm. La da da da, la da 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 da.
Your head's underwater, it's underwater now. High tide, the water's getting hotter. Guess we should've bothered, now it looks like we won't survive. I'll die with all your sons and daughters, victims of the slaughter. No one here's getting out alive. I won't lie, things aren't getting better. Thinking about whether or not we crossed the line. I don't know who's gonna save us. What they're trying to say, but we were far too late, and now we're gonna pay. I'm wise now to all your blind and foolish ways. Give your head a shake, quit acting like you're gonna change. You can hide now from the eye of the hurricane, but you can't outrun the rain. You can't outrun the rain. I'm wise now to all your blind and foolish ways. Give your head a shake. I don't know who's gonna save us. I don't know how we will change this.
Red Truck Beer. Nothing delivers like a red truck. Official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
If you're a fan of the CFL, you'll know Angus Reid, retired offensive lineman, started his career as a Montreal Alouette back in 2001, but was traded along with a 5th-round draft pick to the BC Lions. And over his time in the league, we saw him play with the West Division All-Star team, get a nod for the CFL's Lineman of the Week. He retired from the sport, from the game, in March 2014. Get you more on that in just a sec. And when Angus was a guest, it was an in-studio visit, which was very cool. We talked about Trump as U.S. president, his incredible streak of playing every game between 2002 and 2008. And you got to think, like, somewhere in that stretch, you're going to get injured, maybe need a night off, but nope. He shared a near-death story, talked about the shows that he was binge-watching, when he realized he had a gambling problem, and stop me if you've heard this before, Angus also talked about whether it was a tough decision to retire.
No. Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. I was 20 some odd years of continuous football, but I knew it was time to leave, and I was able to be probably one of those few athletes that was my decision. You know, right. Usually it's imposed on you. You get cut, you get released, whatever. I was able to come to Wally and say, you know what, I have thought about it. It's time for me to move on. There's nothing more I can do, and physically, it's over. I've given everything I've got. There's nothing left in me. So I was actually looking forward to being able to move on to the next phase of my life.
Stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
Pulled from a sleep by 100-kilometer wind. My memory is hazy. How did I ever get this lazy? It's crazy. And we're all so complicit. All 7 billion of us are unwilling to listen. And all the while we're moving faster. We're just cruising to disaster. And I know your pain. Just another day, keeping all my excuses to myself, and look to no one else. That's how we're gonna survive this. Treat each other with kindness, and I'm breaking the silence. Got enough of the violence. Here we go again, and the race back home starts at 5 p.m. But nobody ever wins any. It's just a matter of a way that you can deal with it. I don't mind if you're mad and you're hungry. It's alright if you're sad and you're lonely. Because no matter what the weather, we're all in this together, yeah. And I know your pain. Just another day, keeping all my excuses to myself, and look to no one survive this. Just treat each other with kindness,
No pressure, but I'm expecting the night to be absolutely fantastic. A great song for Alex Marr called No One Else. And why I originally met Alex, it was about maybe 4 or 5 years back now. He was living in Vancouver, absolutely dominating the live scene. I mean, playing some big shows. Saw one of his shows at the Fox Cabaret. Kyprios got up on stage, full band. They had a horn section, just a stellar night. And Alex is touring Canada this summer, and he's got to stop in Vancouver on Friday, July 28th to play a Blue Light Sessions with the Toddcast at Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver. Phil Dixon is also on the bill. We'll play something from Phil later on in the podcast, but it's going to be acoustic. There's a Q&A. You get to ask questions like normal, our regular nights. These nights are filmed because we make videos and stuff for the bands and for the artists. The nights are just $20 in advance through eventbrite.ca, eventbrite.ca, a simple search of Toddcast. You'll find all of our stuff. $25 if you want to roll the dice and wait for tickets at the door. But keep in mind, we only sell 60 tickets. There's only 60 allowed into the venue. We cap it at 60, all right? So doors are at 7, show starts at 8. We'll probably keep things rolling, I would guess, till at least 10, probably 10, 10:30, maybe sometimes we sneak into 11 o'clock at night. They're fun nights. Hope you can make it out again. Tickets are on sale right now. Played You Chase the Bear, and that's a relatively new song for them called Underwater. Now here's a perfect candidate for one of those interactive shows. You could see them really crushing in that environment. Perhaps I'll poke the boys, poke the bear, get the dad jokes in here, and maybe we'll see if, what they think about the idea. So coming up in just a few minutes, listen to this, one of Canada's best Americana artists, Kyle McKerney, talking about his 5-year plan as an emerging artist and the game plan that is powered by 6-year sponsor Tedco RV Supplies out in Langley. RV service and repairs, ICBC accredited, check. All great things. Find them on Facebook and through Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. Also, of course, TedcoRVSupplies.com. First, back to more guests in our Canada Day 23 podcast and some highlights of Canadian sporting guest visits. They are powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver. Naturally dyed goods for your home, for your body. Great bandanas and socks and dishcloths and shirts and scarves and pillows and you name it, you will love their work. Top notch. They only use pure plant extracts and natural fibers. It's actually good for Mother Earth. Locally owned as well, locally operated. Find them through handoverhandtextiles.com. They're also on Instagram too. So retired WWE superstar Bret the Hitman Hart is widely recognized as one of the best wrestlers ever. A 23-year career, inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2006, held championships in 5 decades, 32 championships in total over that span. So does he miss wrestling?
No, not really. I don't miss the physical part of it. I don't miss being body slammed, picked up and thrown down on my head. I don't think I ever missed that. I think once I actually accepted that my career was over, I never missed the physical part of it.
And how could you talk to one of the best all time, the excellence of execution, and not talk about highlights of their career?
But as far as the highlight of my career, probably will always be just winning the world title the very first time. I don't think, when I was a little kid, if someone had told me when I was about 6 that someday you're going to be the world champion of wrestling and you'd be traveling around and doing all this stuff, I would never have believed it. But at the same time, I would have loved hearing. That would have been something I would have looked forward to doing. And I'm really happy with, contrary to what anyone might think or, we maybe get from my book or different things, but I really take a lot of pride in my career and the great moments I had. And I'm happy to share those with any fans all the time. When I go to Vancouver, I do sense there's a lot of layers of wrestling history there that I can connect with, and I hope that fans that from different generations. I'm always astounded when I meet young kids that are about 4 or 5 years old that are grilling me about what my match with Shawn Michaels was all about. And, I'm always amazed. I go, how do you even watch wrestling?
How do you know that?
And the kids say they watch on network, and it must be a lot of dads. I hear a lot of dads tell me that they sit down with their kids and they watch my matches and teach them how wrestling works.
That's pretty cool,
based on watching. Yeah, and I take all that as a huge thumbs up, and I'm really proud to be that kind of a role model for wrestlers.
Yeah, I guess it was about a month back now. I thought about Bret Hart and all of those guys, Hogan and Macho Man Savage and Ricky the Dragon, when the Iron Sheik passed away. I don't know if you caught that or not, but the Iron Sheik passed away, and I thought about all those guys back in the day. As we'll turn our attention now to Detroit Lions defensive tackle, or at least one of them, Christian Covington, is from Vancouver, born and raised, you would expect, decimated at the high school level. Yes. Same for college football. Drafted by the Houston Texans in 2015, 6th round, 216th overall, 4 seasons with them. Then it was to the Cowboys, Broncos, Bengals, Chargers. Played at an elite level now for 8 years. And as you'll hear him say, it's all about the personal self-sacrifice.
Whatever you put your heart into being, that's what you're eventually going to do.
Right.
With me, it was my passion with football and the sacrifice that I was willing to do in order to accomplish my dreams. And that's something that I always take the time to be able to tell people.
Right.
Whenever I'm back home or whenever I'm around, the youth down in Texas with the many kids I've been able to be around and associate with, my one word that I always bring up is sacrifice. That's my special word. That's my S word.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, that's all I had. That's the only thing that was able to give me the edge to outplay guys in BC. That was what gave me the edge to outplay people, when I was at Vancouver College, when I went down to Rice, and eventually when I got drafted to Houston, now that I'm playing in Dallas. It's something that it's going to continue to drive me and, stay with me and be with me and be that one motivating driving factor with me as my career continues, as I try to extend my career for as long as possible. It's like, what am I able to give up and sacrifice and not, maybe not just do in order to be here that much longer or get that extension or to, extend my career by this X amount of years. It goes from the littlest of things to the biggest of things, whether it's, literally gaining, I'm going to go to bed an extra, I'm going to go to bed an hour early tonight. It could be something as little as that, or I'm going to get in an extra 2 hours of film study this weekend, or I'm going to do an extra 2 laps around the football field for my conditioning or something. It's whatever the case may be, little, medium, big or small. It doesn't matter the amount of sacrifice. As long as you're sacrificing something, the end result is going to be in your favor.
That to me is such a great clip. Christian Covington is an absolute savage. If you follow his career, you know that we had to get him talking about career highlights and sacking Tom Brady on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I sacked Tom Brady. That might have been another big one.
Yeah. What's that like? Like when you're taking a guy like that down?
Well, I mean, it's surreal just because I literally grew up watching him. Like that's the one aspect of it. And then that's another crazy aspect. It's like, man, how long has his brother been playing in this league?
No shit.
I was literally a kid watching you play. Now I'm playing against you. Like, this is insane.
Just a warrior.
Yeah, he is. He's like the epitome of a warrior on that field. Much respect to. I mean, shoot, I think he's earned the title of the GOAT. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's the greatest of all time. So that goes without saying.
So we'll go from Piggy to the puck, and if you live in Canada, suffice to say, we love hockey. You'll know retired Vancouver Canucks goaltender Captain Kirk McLean. 10.5 seasons with the club. A big year, of course, in 94, backstopped the team to the 7th game of Stanley Cup Finals against the Rangers. But on the way there, playing versus Calgary, the Flames, Robert Reichel gets the pass in front of the net, open net. McLean somehow sprawls, makes the save. Does he ever get sick of talking about that save, the save of 94?
No. You know what? Huge moment in my career, obviously. A defining moment, really. And, people remember it and remember where they were. That was kind of obviously the big kickoff to our run there. So, when the questions or the stop coming, then maybe I'll be a little bit worried, but not at all. That's part
you remember
part of
that
history.
play as it's coming down.
Absolutely.
You've only got the 1D man.
Yeah, the one, it was Yerke.
And you're seeing that it's going to be...
it was actually kind of almost a 3-on-1 to start with, and then I believe it was busting his butt back. I think it was Jeff Courtnall, and I forget, maybe Martin Gellina, maybe that were busting their tails to get back. But Yerke played it perfect, especially with a guy like Theo Fleury carrying it, who's a wizard with the puck, and was especially in tight like that. And, he made a wonderful pass. I was lucky enough to anticipate it and read it. And, a move, the 2-pad slide, was something that I was taught as a kid, and that was part of the game at the
Stack
time. And stack them up. And I was, at the right time, and Robert Reichel was there, and maybe he was in a little bit too close, or the puck was a little bit, and he just couldn't get it up. But I got there in time, and then history after that.
So cool to have Kirk McLean as a guest and roll through the studio in person, no less, cracking beers and telling stories. And this is one of those get your shit together interviews for me. Kirk's literally my all-time favorite Vancouver Canuck. So what a trip to have him in studio. Couple of hours playing him a bunch of local bands and the songs that you hear on this podcast, talking about other goaltenders from the team, King Brodeur and Cloutier and Luongo, and great listening to him tell stories about, playing with Linden and Bure and Courtnall, Adams, Ronning, Momesso, Lume, and how he once got a standing ovation from Montreal fans while playing for the Canucks.
There's one in particular that, minus that run. I mean, obviously, game one in New York and in the finals was a big one too. But a particular moment in Montreal where we're in the old Forum and we won 3-0. I got the shutout, and Greg Adams actually scored all 3 goals.
Oh, nice.
I ended up getting first star. He got second star, but I got we were outshot. I don't know, 51 to whatever. Ended up getting a standing ovation from the Montreal Forum, which was pretty cool. And, that kind of, I don't want to say it brought a tear to my eye, but it choked me up a little bit. It was something that, you don't expect in a visiting arena, but, that's kind of a shout out to not Montreal fans, but Canadian fans. They appreciate, a good effort out there, and that was right up there. I always had bad luck in Montreal.
That's such a cool story. Kirk McLean is one of the best humans. And, in fact, I ran into him at a Canucks game with my boys, probably about half a year back now, last season. I was like, Kirk, he's like, he looks at me, he could tell, I know this dude. Why don't I know this guy? I'm like, dude, it's Todd Hancock from the Toddcast and CFOX and that. He goes, oh yeah, that's right. Hey, I should jump on your podcast again. So probably get him on, and probably not till the new year, but into 24 we'll probably get Captain on again. So you first saw Canadian Olympic snowboarder Mercedes Nicoll on the half pipe. Since her World Cup debut in December of 99, this was up in Whistler that year. Half pipe, snowboard cross. 3 years later, in 2002, she won bronze. Listen to Mercedes talk about the standout memories from her first World Cup.
I remember it was at Whistler, and
how cool is it to be at Whistler too, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so sweet, and man, that was a long, long time ago. Now that we think,
I know,
about
right?
it.
We're talking 20 years ago. It's crazy.
I just remember, I think it was snowing. The conditions weren't perfect by any means, because it was winter in Whistler, and that always means snow or fog.
Or both.
And it was wild. It was just I remember just trying to breathe so I wouldn't get too nervous.
And were you nervous?
Oh, heck yeah.
Tough to mask that too, hey?
Totally. I was pretty young, though. I was pretty naive at that time, too.
Oh, should also mention that Mercedes is an 8-time World Cup medalist, 5-time Canadian national champion, competed at the 06, the 10, the 14 Winter Olympics. If badass isn't already on her business card, probably not a bad idea. Beyond snowboarding, you should check out her podcast. It's called Dropping In with Mercedes Nicoll. She's a natural, just does a fantastic, great job. And I thought that you'd like this part of the interview, talking about her first concert.
Oh, man. I remember, like, going down to Vancouver, and we were on one of the, I don't know, maybe it was like Our Lady Peace or something like that. And then we had Nickelback come to Whistler when we had like a bowling alley, and we were all too young to actually go on the dance floor, so we were just cheering from these like picnic tables.
Playing? Sorry, what did you just say? Nickelback played a bowling alley? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, in a bowling alley in Whistler.
What?
Yeah.
When was this?
That was like before they were big.
Wow, man. Yeah, imagine them playing in a bowling alley today. Yeah.
It would be interesting.
The Toddcast Podcast.
Welcome to Mick Unplugged, the #1 podcast for self-improvement and modern leadership. I'm Mick Hunt, your host, and I'm here to challenge your why and fuel your because. This is where leaders, entrepreneurs, and go-getters come to level up. Each week, I bring you unfiltered conversations, game-changing strategies, and the kind of motivation that transforms lives and legacies. I've learned from legends like Les Brown, Damon John, and Robert Irvine. And now, I'm bringing their lessons, along with mine, straight to you. From modern leadership tips to creating unstoppable momentum, this is the podcast that redefines what's possible. Hit play, subscribe, and join the millions who've made Mick Unplugged their go-to source for growth and greatness. Because your next breakthrough is just one episode away. This is Mick Unplugged, the voice and face of modern leadership, entrepreneur, and self-improvement. Let's get started.
What do you miss? What do you miss from me? I tried to lift my feet and climb, but I couldn't see. I got a history of keeping things I feel inside, but I can't breathe. Oh my, all my life has been a maze. Tried to turn another page, but I can't understand. It's such a it's such a mystery. Yes, I'm just reaching in the dark, but I can't see. And it's a bitch. This life's a bitch to me. And they say every life is hard. Maybe I did. Yes, I did all I could do. Cast aside all that I knew. I still can't understand. Maybe I missed it. What did I miss? What did I miss from this? I try to reminisce, but
The Toddcast Podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast Podcast.
You've heard Kyle McCurney's music on this podcast since we launched. That big hooky riff off the top, the dun 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 dun. That's his old band called Hard Honey. Kyle was born and raised in small town BC in Fort St. John. He's now an award-winning Americana artist. And if you listen to the music, you can hear that genre, it's just his wheelhouse. Great to have him on the podcast, a longtime friend. He's a good buddy. We're talking about touring and family. He shared a near-death story involving a moose, a casino blackjack story, the worst job that he's had, the shows that he was binge watching, how he's a longtime supporter of the Edmonton Oilers. And you're thinking like, geez, I guess this year's the playoffs probably had his heart racing. Hey, like I thought that this was McDavid's year. And Kyle talked about his 5-year goals. You need to set goals for yourself. Strive to reach them. It's good for you. Listen to this.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is a tough one. You know, I'd like to be... What I'd like to plan, where I'd like to plan to be is, you know, just playing theaters and like rooms like the Commodore, you know, across the country and selling them out, you know, people coming to see me and maybe 3 albums deep by then.
Yep.
And, you know, constant build from here to there, hopefully.
Yeah, and you're constantly writing music, right? If
I
know you at all, I know this. Yeah.
And I've been writing with other people quite a bit here, and just for fun. And I'm working on another record, so that's kind of the plan right now.
Listen to This on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
That is Phil Dixon and Nothing But the Love. And honestly, you need to be at his show with Alex Marr. As mentioned, it's at the end of the month on Friday, July 28th. It's at Blue Light Studio. Phil has done a couple shows for us over the years. This style, in fact, already for us. So there's a reason why he's been invited back. He's absolutely amazing. If you want to start talking about musicians that make it look easy, they make it look effortless, Phil is one of those guys. The kid is so talented, and we have him starting off the night, so he'll definitely set the bar. You heard Matt Storm, and that's a new song for him called What Do You Miss? And Matt actually played a show with Ivan Hartle for us about maybe 4 or 5 months back now, I guess. He and Ivan actually played a show together at Fortune Sound, I guess about maybe 2-3 weeks back now. Another jewel, no doubt, in Vancouver scene, and perhaps we'll see if Matt wants to do a podcast show at the tail end of this year, maybe into early 24, because the show that he did with Ivan was for Ivan's music. Matt played along and did the backing vocals. I think he did lead on maybe 1 or 2 songs, but I would love to see more, man. This guy was absolutely wicked. Speaking of the live music, the live scene here in Vancouver, find a list of shows happening locally, not just our shows, but some other shows that we think you should try to make it to as well, with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. If you're playing a show, if you're checking it out, let us know about it. If it's indie, we'll post it up at the website, maybe even play your band and plug the show as well. Okay, our final guests of this episode 308 are some Canadian entertainment and lifestyle guests, all of whom powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. You can also get oils, hash, all kinds of edibles, peyote, vapes, lollipops, shatter, and a whole bunch more. Literally, that's scratching the surface. At registry, though, keep in mind, mention that you heard about them through this podcast. That will instantly upgrade your profile on their website, sacredmeds.com. So retired Canadian astronaut Commander Chris Hadfield has flown 2 space shuttle missions and served as the commander of the International Space Station. He's also the first person to record an album in space. How cool is that? This is one of those interviews where you need to hear the full thing. It's such a hard thing to do, pick a couple clips to highlight from his visit. This was interesting. Chris talked about seeing evidence of climate change while in space.
Yeah, it depends on what scale you mean. Climate change can be local, right? If 7 million people live in the same city, they change the local climate. Absolutely. It's smog all over the city. It's hotter than normal because of all the pavement. So you can see localized climate change. And then the Aral Sea, which used to be the 4th biggest sea on Earth, in the last generation, just in the last 25 years, we've dried that up. We've dried up the 4th biggest sea on Earth deliberately because of irrigation policies and to try and water the cotton. And so the 4th biggest sea on Earth is gone. And you can see it like a huge blister, a huge scar on Earth. And of course, it's wildly affected a whole region of Kazakhstan and the surrounding countries there. And the glaciers that used to rely on the lake effect to get snow, they're receding. So that's man-made climate change on a bigger scale. But globally, it's a little harder because it's slow, and you have to compare pictures from a few years back. And so globally, it's harder to see, just like it is on the surface, just because it's a creeping thing. Mm-hmm. But when you compare the astronauts' pictures of glaciers or of where the edges of deserts are, or the Lake Chad even, it's obvious what's happening, and it's easy to stick your head in the sand. But for those of us who can actually see the world, you can't get 7 billion people breathing in and out and eating and turning the lights on and flushing their toilets. You don't get that for free. That definitely has an effect, and we need to think about it.
Yeah, it really is eye-opening when you listen to the full conversation with Commander Hadfield. Here he talks about, how do you talk to Commander Hadfield and not get him talking about going blind in space for half an hour?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to happen. I was Canada's first spacewalker, and we don't go outside recreationally like they do in the movies. We go outside for a purpose, and because it's dangerous to do a spacewalk. And my first spacewalk was to help build Canadarm2, our huge robot, onto the International Space Station. And while I was outside putting it all together, one of my eyes went blind. and like some horrible contamination or some big thing had just gotten into my eye, and you can't rub your eye, and tears don't fall. You just have this big ball of weightless, contaminated whatever it is on your eye, not going anywhere. And after a while, that big contaminated teardrop got so big that it flowed across my nose into my other eye, and both my eyes were blinded. And so then I had to stop working and talk to Houston and try and figure out what the problem was.
Isn't that something else? That story is incredible, going blind in space. So from a spacewalker to a Canadian comedian, Gerry Dee has been a guest. It was early on in the life of the podcast. I think it was in early of 16. Mr. D was going gangbusters for him at that point. Super successful show. I love his style. I mean, a great observational comedy. He's an elite storyteller. Self-deprecating humor it's just funny, right? Listen to him talk about the comedians that inspired him.
I don't really remember, anybody. I never really followed stand-up. It was really people like John Candy and Michael J. Fox that I started watching, and those are the guys that I'm like, God, I'd love to do this, but it was never really a plan to do it.
Funny, that's not an uncommon comment. Some people just fall into it. And pretty cool to hear Gerry talking about his, at that time, keep in mind, again, it's 2016, talking about his career highlights then.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, there's a few pieces to the puzzle. The sitcom certainly is the pinnacle right now. That was what it was all working towards. In my sort of goal was try stand up, write an act, and see if I could get it to translate like Drew Carey, Tim Allen, Ray Romano, and Brent Budd, and all these people that have turned their act into sitcoms.
From one actor to the next, I've known Jonathan Torrens since the mid-2000s. Of course, you'll know him as J-Rock from the Trailer Park Boys, co-hosting Street Sense, his TV talk show, Jono-Vision. He has a fun podcast with the original Our Lady Peace drummer, Jeremy Taggart, called the Taggart and Torrens Podcast.
The craft of interviewing, because I'm naturally curious, or as we say in PEI, nosy, is something that genuinely interests me. And you're one of the good ones because you realize that as the old saying goes, the interviewer is the star of the show, but the interviewee has to be the star of the interview. And I think it's most compelling when the interviewer uses silence as a tool, because the laws of social grace that apply to a conversation don't apply to an interview. So if you don't jump in to fill the space and keep it going, that's probably when I'm going to keep talking and giving my best stuff.
I think I've mentioned this before, but it's worth bringing up again. I once co-hosted a radio show here in Vancouver with Jonathan. For a couple of weeks, he, of course, was as J-Rock, and that was as crazy as you think it would be. It's fun radio. You've seen him on Mr. D, Letterkenny, Call Me Fitz. So listen to Jonathan talk about staying grounded.
My feeling has always been as an actor and, sketch performer, the characters that I play are based on real life experiences that I have. So that's why my life is very real where I live. I'm famous in my neighborhood as being the guy who doesn't know how to do anything for himself. And I think it's partly because if you start to buy into your own hype and assume the rules don't apply to you, that's how you can get into trouble.
And we'll move to Canadian-born actor Kim Coates, who you'll know from so many roles. Tig in Sons of Anarchy. He was the warden in Oz. Declan in Bad Blood. Was in The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis. Speaking of, you'll love this. Kim tells a starstruck moment while on the set for that movie.
Well, I don't know if it was called starstruck, but it certainly was meeting a star. I'm not sure I've been starstruck, but I'll never forget meeting Bruce Willis. It was my first big film, Last Boy Scout.
Great show.
Yeah, thanks. 1991 or 92, something like that. And I didn't know protocol. I didn't know what was expected, sort of. My first big film is in, L.A., and I remember getting to set, and of course, when you're the star, you're the last one to come to set, and depending on when you do come to set, it could be hours later, minutes later, whatever. But when Bruce walked on that set for the first time to meet him, he was a movie star. He is a movie star. And there's something that goes without saying, and since that time I've worked with many movie stars, and Kevin Costner is a really good friend of mine. I enjoy all of them. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience with a movie star, because if you're a movie star, you know where you've come from and you know what it takes to get there. And don't be a dick. And it's been a great learning experience for me.
Yeah, here's another interview that really deserves to be played in its entirety. Listen to Kim talking about the roles that he's played, the heroes, the villains, the in-betweens like Tig, and which ones really give him the most freedom.
That is a great question. I don't know. I will say this, that, Kevin Costner is such a good buddy of mine. He really, as we both do, respect each other for everything, for being a father, actor. I mean, he's just such a star. And he plays, usually, and lately he's been playing a lot of bad guys, but the hero is really hard to play because bad guys are written differently, right? For me, my eyes, my cheekbones, I guess my toughness, whatever that is, people gravitate me to the darker side of life in film, and I say no to a lot of it, but the stuff that I do say yes to, there's a reason why, and that's because of the writing. The writing's amazing for the colored characters in movies and TV, and I trusted Kurt Sutter when I said yes to playing Tig, because I didn't know what Tig was going to be like when he showed me a little bit way back then when they were reshooting the pilot. It was such a violent scene. I said, no, this isn't for me.
Entertainment guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. Visit sacredmeds.com.
Monday, down the highway, fills my ashtray again. These old bus wheels, a night train on our heels. You can hear him call out in the dark. My words were like thunderbirds. The road is blurred ahead. 5 more days driving my life away. Can you hear me call out in the dark? Well, I'm tired of making sense of this damn white picket fence, 'cause I ain't never been home enough to give old Blue a bone. And this American dream, hell, I don't think it's for me. We could move to Timbuktu as long as I am next to you, each and every day. Mundane, got this back pain, vodka and Vicodin again. The hours sting along while Willie sings. You can hear him call out in the dark. Well, I'm tired of making sense of this damn white picket fence, 'cause I ain't never been home enough to give old Blue a bone. And this American dream, hell, I don't think it's for me. We could move to Timbuktu as long as I am next to you, each and every day, each and every day. I'm just doing like my daddy taught me to, working hard to make a good life for me and you, but it's killing me being away a little each and every day. Monday, we got bills to pay. It's just the way it goes. Don't wanna spend my years wiping your goodbye tears. I can hear you call out in the dark. Well, it's never gonna make sense hiding behind this picket fence. This house has never felt like home, and old blue spans his days alone. Goodbye, American dream. Hell, it sure ain't what it seems. Always so much shit to do that keeps me far away from you. Each and every day, each and every day. And now I'm home to stay. Each and every day.
He is without a doubt one of Canada's best. Americana artist Kyle McKerney, and another fantastic song for him called Each and Every Day. One of my favorite artists for years and years. Kyle was showcased in this week's Listen to This, and his music will wrap up this Canada Day 2023 podcast, episode 308. Happy Canada Day to you and yours. I hope it's fun. I hope it's safe. If you live in Vancouver proper, remember the city is not planning fireworks, no displays for Canada Day, but you can, however, hit Surrey, Burnaby, Abbotsford. Those cities have something planned. My name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening. These styles of podcasts are fun to put together. They're really fun. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us. Of course, word of mouth is massive for what we're doing. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Of course, follow along on social media, Twitter and Facebook, Instagram. Comment and rate the podcast. Search it out through what else? Toddcast podcast. Huge thanks, many thanks to all of our terrific sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast with your business, you can. As little as $10 a day. It's cheap. It's like borscht. Contact info is at the homepage. And if you help us find a sponsor, keep this in mind. We will give you a commission. Little side hustle listening to the podcast. All right, till next time, don't be an asshole, because nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard. Most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Welcome to Mick Unplugged, the #1 podcast for self-improvement and modern leadership. I'm Mick Hunt, your host, and I'm here to challenge your why and fuel your because. This is where leaders, entrepreneurs, and go-getters come to level up. Each week, I bring you unfiltered conversations, game-changing strategies, and the kind of motivation that transforms lives and legacies. I've learned from legends like Les Brown, Damon John, and Robert Irvine. And now, I'm bringing their lessons, along with mine, straight to you. From modern leadership tips to creating unstoppable momentum, this is the podcast that redefines what's possible. Hit play, subscribe, and join the millions who've made Mick Unplugged their go-to source for growth and greatness. Because your next breakthrough is just one episode away. This is Mick Unplugged, the voice and face of modern leadership, entrepreneur, and self-improvement. Let's get started.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you're going to love our podcast, Disney Countdown. Hi, I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And Biscuits, I'm Jeremy, aka Jarendell, and we are the hosts of the hit Disney podcast, Disney Countdown.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show, right, Jeremy?
Ooh, girl, you know we are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed, but you definitely need in your life. So if you are looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.
Goodbye, Kyle! Did the sound of those words call to you like Pavlov's dog? Then you might enjoy our podcast, Turtle Time.
Every week, you can join me, Riley Hamilton, and my co-host, Amy Scarlotta, as we cover the most pressing Bravo news and dig into the new episodes to answer important questions like, who the hell is Adrian Malouf in this world?
Listen to Turtle Time on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday.